What was your growing up there like? I mean, were you a hooligan growing up there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To the fullest extent. That's like why I started YouTube, doing story times about the shit I was getting into in Vegas.
Right.
Absolutely. You're just like 21 by the time you're like 13, 14. You're partying in the hotels and the casinos, and you know what I mean? Everyone's selling drugs, doing drugs.
So what did your parents do for a living? When did you guys move there?
They lived there for like 20 years before me.
Okay.
And they were like older, like a lot older.
Your parents are older.
Yeah.
Are you an only child?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
But they're not like my best friend's family, like basically adopted me when I was like 13, like, and took me. And like now every holiday I go see them. They're my family 100%. But like my family I was born into, they were just very crazy. I mean, all their money was very elite. It's so hard. I can't say a lot of things for legal reasons. There's like a whole.
With your parents?
Really?
Which is nuts.
Well, so how long did you live with your parents?
I mean, I guess technically until I was like 15, but like by 14, I was like staying with my friends for like months at a time and shit. Like I was out. It was just a very volatile environment. And
so growing up with your parents, they were like, do they have like some kind of, like, what was it? How much older are they?
My parents were like in their 50s raising me.
Okay.
And they just, in my opinion, weren't very good people. Like we just, you know what I mean? They weren't, I was very independent. Like I did everything on my own for as long as I can remember. Like just even my meals and my money and getting to school and doing anything. That's one of the main reasons I dropped out of school. Like it was just like, nothing was a functioning routine, and I never learned that. I was very much so independent. And anytime I really needed to fall on a parental figure for anything, it was always my best friend's family.
That's got to be
And still
painful,
is.
though, that like your relationship with your parents is so fraught.
100%. 100%.
That's hard. That's really.
And obviously being an only child through that as well, and not really having someone to like, and that's why I credit my best friend to like saving my life, or like being my brother. He still lives with me to this day. Like he's literally my brother, and it's amazing. I credit him to really helping me with that. And I've tried to work out, there's so much trauma and so many things that I can't wait to talk about one day. Jeanette McCurdy wrote that book that was like, I'm glad my mom died.
Yeah. Is it like that?
100%.
Holy fuck, dude.
Like, I can't wait until, but.
Do you want your parents to die?
I don't want them to die. I don't want anyone to die.
Would you be sad if they died?
It's weird. I just had this recently, like, I guess I found out through the grapevine that my mom was like super sick, I guess, right? My birth mom. And
you don't talk to them at all. You don't know anything
and
about
even
them.
then it was like, it was up in the air of like, what if she dies, right? And I had this whole existential moment of like, I remember crying, and I was like, why am I crying? Like, I don't feel like this person ever loved me. But it's sad knowing that it's closed. I guess you'll always have that irrational hope that they could one day be people and like apologize.
It's not even
right?
irrational. We need the love of our.
Well, I just mean situationally irrational. I know they never will.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? You know what I mean? And I went to therapy about it a lot. My therapist was like, and it's hard to when you talk to people about it, because it's very much like, what if my mom dies? And everyone's like, call her, talk to her. That's your mom. And I've always been such a firm believer in like, because people have said that to me my whole life. And, you know, I'm like, I don't talk to my parents. They're not my cup of tea. And people are like, but it's your mom, it's your dad. But to me, it's, if someone never shows you the love.
When you say it wasn't my cup of tea, I don't think people understand.
I know
because it sounds like
I'm speaking in my legal terms.
It sounds like there was abuse.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it was a really traumatic.
Absolutely.
You know,
but
and so
I've said that before, and then I've been in court having to almost pay millions of dollars for slander.
Really?
You can slander your parents?
Apparently.
Like, what damage are you going to do to them?
Yeah,
So are you going through litigation right now with your parents?
This was
it's over.
This was like 2-3 years ago, probably.
And did you guys settle?
Yeah, because it's basically, I guess I can talk about this. I don't know. I mean,
well, did you sign an NDA?
I signed a non-disparagement.
So don't disparage them. That means you can be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll disparage them.
I received a letter, you know, that basically said, you said these things on this reality show. You know, when I was on MTV and I had a show, we went and kind of toured my childhood homes, and I said a lot of things that someone in court could say, you know, create a loss of income, or which is so untrue. It was definitely just a cash grab. Everyone was very, in my opinion, but everyone was very aware of it being like that. And it went back and forth for a while. And then it got to the point where it would have been, and this was peak COVID, so it was all over Zoom, and just awful for my mental state as well. Like having to just like relive so much stuff all the time that to me, I felt like I had been beginning to put to rest. And it got to a point where it would have been years in court, and it would have been a public trial, and it would have been like medical subpoenas, all the time, and just like so much shit.
You couldn't get rid of it on like before a trial?
I tried as hard as I possibly could.
What the fuck?
And I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them ever again. I don't want to feel that way ever again. I don't want to watch them defend that all the shit that they did to me was that they were good parents. Just watching, in my opinion, lie. And yeah, we settled, and I had to pay them like a couple $100,000.
Wow.
That must
That
felt like shit. Oh my God. That was like the day in my head where they really like, they were dead to me. You know what I mean? Because if you can do that to your kid.
I'm mind blown.
Yeah, you suck. But words can't express how grateful I am for my best friend's family. Like they are literally my mother and my father, and he has siblings, and they're my brother and my sister, and I'm lucky as fuck. Cause you know what I mean? I guess so many people don't go through Tana Mongeau's life where you have a reality show and your parents sue you. And
that was I would say that is a very, 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 very rare upbringing of what you're describing. Like that's wild. Do you find it odd that like there's two people, they apparently love each other, or they're still together, right? They're not divorced.
Look, I mean, it was the most toxic thing
They were not like a happy married couple.
At all.
So it was just all bad. Loveless house.
But 100%. But I think that trauma bonds are very real. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what they're doing, where they're at, anything like that. Probably spending my money, probably at the casino. Gambling.
What was it that you said that they sued that they took issue with? Without saying it's true, just saying this is what
because the way that type of lawsuit works, especially because you can do it two ways. You can pay a lawyer a lump sum, or pay a lawyer hourly, or pay a lawyer, retain them to go do it, or you can pay a lawyer a percentage of if you win.
Yeah.
And that's what they had. You know what I mean? That type of lawyer. And that's scarier too, because then the lawyer is like hungry to, because if they don't win, they don't win any money. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just 1,000 anecdotal sentences. Like, oh, there were roaches in my house growing up.
Just a bunch of shit.
Or, oh, I remember, like, you know what I mean? Hypothetically, I could have said something like, oh, I didn't eat for a week growing up. Like there was no food, or there was roaches in the house, or
so they just itemized all this.
Itemized everything, and then I just had to sit in court and sit there and go through every single sentence and defend it as hard as I can. Like I was talking about how when I got to LA, one of the first things I spent money on was an immense amount of dental work, and then it was because I never really
had dental care.
You can't say it. Yeah, but you can say you got a bunch of dental work, and we can infer what that means.
Yeah. Everything. It was crazy for sure.
Damn.
But I definitely.
And you had to sit through that, and they would sit there too on Zoom.
A lot of it, luckily, thankfully, was mediation based, where I would say something to a mediator, and the mediator would go say it to them, and then they would say something to the mediator, and the mediator would come back and say it, which honestly I think really saved my mental health a lot, because I think that if I had to, you know what I mean, it would have been a lot harder. It was crazy. I just hired my what would be my executive assistant for the next like 3 years, and her first like real thing with me. Like now it's like, come help me with Dizzy. But with her, it was like, let's go to court every day. And I need you to take notes. And it was nuts. That's how I knew she was a great person and rode for me, because it was very intense. But yeah.
Shout out. She's here.
Shout out Kyla. No, that's big. But
that's pretty incredible that you survived that. That sounds really, really fucking
yeah, it's hard.
crazy.
I'll definitely have to unpack a lot of trauma in my life. But You know what I mean? I got a lot of therapy about it, and the therapist was helped me work through the fact that, like, why do I want to give peace to people who never gave me peace, and type of thing.
You want to give peace to them?
No, like if they were dying, like I would only be saying like goodbye for them.
Would you do that if they were like on their deathbed? Would you say anything? No.
Mm-mm.
What if whatever, I mean, what if they called you and they're like, hey, I'm dying, I just want to.
I wouldn't answer.
Really?
I mean, well, I don't answer unknown callers, and I wouldn't answer if it was their number, I guess. And I mean, I guess if somehow an interaction happened where we were on the phone and they said that, I would probably just respond like a human being. Like, I'm really sorry that's happening, and hope you were in a better place in the last quarter. Got any shit you can sell to give me my money back?
Well, you can't defame dead people. Just saying.
Trust me, I think about that
once
daily.
They expire.
Yeah, that actually, I want to write a book so bad. I've written so much about all the shit I've done in LA, but to me, it feels so incomplete without
that's huge.
A childhood story. So that's honestly the only reason I don't have a serious but life story up until now out, I guess.
Wow. I'm kind of
as parents. Yeah, me too. Like, we're parents now, and I can't even imagine. Like,
that's what's exciting for me, though. I will say one of the things that brings me like peace and happiness is one day I can't wait to be a mother who loves their children so much
and do it your way.
Absolutely. And you know what I mean? And maybe that was the purpose of all of it. I don't know. I'll never know. So anyways, guys, what's Philip Franco up to?
It's so sad. It's so sad. And I feel like...
I think it tells... It's very... I mean, this is a huge part of who you are. And I think that's why it really is...
so crazy.
It explains a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
But how could you not be crazy, like, and do crazy stuff? Yeah. It's like, what the hell?
My first manager, I really accredit to teaching me a lot of so much just shit, social shit I never learned. Like how to, you know what I mean? I accredit so many of my OG scandals to me just being like a lawless fucking fatherless rat. Mm-hmm. You know, like I needed to learn a lot.
Was there one parent that you had a bigger issue with, or were they both kind of equally horrible?
Equally horrible in different ways.
Wow.
I think. You know what I mean?
God damn.
Yeah.
Being sued by your own parent, I feel like it's like a stab in the heart. It's like, what the hell?
We weren't in a good place, you know, when it happened, I guess, but I didn't. That's just such a further thing, you know what I mean? But it's so hard. I hate having to talk about it because you know me, that's the only time I can't talk about shit the way I want to is when there's legality, and it drives me. And that's what sucks too, is feeling silenced about it for sure. But like, I don't even know. Like, they always, in my opinion, I think that my financial success excited them. There were a lot of instances where I was paying for things, you know what I mean, for them by force. My 18th birthday was the happiest day of my life because I'd been doing this for like 3 years, and they were, I was a minor. They were controlling my finances.
Really?
So, absolutely.
Wow.
They were collected. Like, if you got a check from YouTube, they would take it.
Or like not give you. Oh my God! Really?
They had access to it.
I mean, yeah, you have to be emancipated legally, at least in the state of Nevada.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, you're under 18. Usually parents aren't that horrible to do that.
100%. And oh my God, and I was so bitter for years seeing the people with the like loving momager who like helps. Oh my God. But in Nevada, you have to be like legally emancipated, and usually an emancipation requires a sign off of the parents, but what parent who wants the benefits of are gonna, and then obviously there's other ways around that, but they were just so difficult.
Had you looked into the legal options of like separating from your parents? It was that bad?
Oh my God. I remember being 14, like knowing what emancipation meant. Wow. You know what I mean? Like I was,
And so I find that interesting. So at what age were you starting to make money based on your career?
Probably 16, 17.
And were you making like a good amount of money back then that was like...
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first AdSense check was like, it was like $5,000.
Wow.
That's life-changing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially if you're 16.
And I'd been dropped out of school for a couple years. It didn't seem like anyone cared about my future. Mm-hmm. And I was working a minimum wage job.
What were you doing?
I did retail, a bunch of different retail, like PacSun and different stores like that.
Yeah.
And in my head, it was like, I'm going to have to work my way up here and save money if I ever wanted a future in an education, or I'm going to go be a stripper because I live in Vegas. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, fuck, what do you do?
Were you able to save money?
Yeah.
You were able to keep some of the money for yourself.
Yeah. And I don't think it was, I never noticed, like, I don't even know. I get so scared to say anything. Because God, I would hate to be back in court. But the shit was just getting bought a lot by, you know what I mean? And I'd moved out at one point, like by 16 or 17, I don't know if I can say all of this. I really don't. I don't think it's in my best interest to tell this story legally.
Do people know all this stuff? Is this something you've talked about, like with your background?
This is actually the most in-depth I've talked about it.
People do, because I feel like it's so important to who you are. That
100%, and that was a real battle with it. Like, and it still is emotionally for me. I would love to be able to just tell my fucking, and I thought I was until I, receive that shit. Like, I thought I was able to.
What's the consequence of doing that, I wonder? Like, if you consulted with an attorney, you're like, I just want to say everything. Like, what happens? What's
another lawsuit?
Another lawsuit.
If that's their journey.
How can they win that lawsuit, though? Or you don't even want to go through that? You don't want to go through
I don't want to go through it.
Yeah.
I really, really, really don't.
I get
and it's a lot of money and like it's
time, emotional. Yeah.
It's just terrible.
I remember thinking at one point, like the lawyer, again, their lawyer was so hungry because it was based on that, and the things the lawyer would just come and say, like, are you sure you want to be in court? Because we're gonna pitch it like this, this, and this.
We're gonna drag it out.
You're a drugged out Hollywood awful piece of shit who doesn't love their family, and you have two sweet, two sweet elderly parents who just loved you so much and were the best. Like it scares you.
Yeah, it's so bullshit.
Like,
that's not how the world works.
Is a court gonna side with?
0% chance, but it's the emotional battle.
Yeah, but I mean, for a while, I think in that time, I really believed, like, what if people didn't believe me? Which is like scary, I guess.
Yeah.
That's really one of the most fucked up things I've heard.
Yeah.
Empathy H3 unlocked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I promise you, I'm fine. You don't have to 5150 me at Coachella.
No, I think actually considering all of that, I'm really impressed that you've managed all this. And like going
I thought you were just a mess because I just thought you were a mess. But now I see that there's a whole explanation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes me appreciate
trying
you.
To clean up the mess all these years. But we'll get there. I guess I'm not like, you know how I am. I don't fucking care if people like me or don't. One day I'll be able to tell my whole life story and maybe I'll win some people back. But
I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
It's gonna be, there's like a special poison in that where it's like they put you through this and then they don't even let you have the story.
That's what sucks. That's what sucks. Well, I think some people are often narcissistic with abuse and they don't even want to believe that they are. They don't believe that they are that.
Denial.
And that's all I ever wanted my whole life. Just like, hey, I'm sorry. But that's never,
Yeah,
some
people can't come to terms with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the fantasy that one day they just apologize and like they're like, we were right, you were right, and we were wrong?
Now because I've healed from that regard. I guess I'm not looking for it. It wouldn't. Like now, I'm just like cool, Like when I was younger, absolutely. And you always wish it was different, but I'm also not upset with the hand that I've been dealt. And in the end, I was just home, and my man and I went and visited my family, and they're just so sweet, and it was like so, like Amari, like my best friend's family. It was awesome. Like it's normal to me now, and I love it, and I love them. So
thank God for that, eh?
Yeah,
we're good people out there. So you moved to California when you were 18, right, or before that?
Well, I think technically like 18, but I was staying with friends for like 6 months at a time and like shit like that until I could actually sign a lease.
What were your parents thinking when you were like with your friend's family for 6 months? Were they trying to get you back? Were they trying to make contact? Did they not care, or you feel like you don't even want to say?
I mean, maybe all of the above. They were probably like, "Fuck yeah, we have $5 more today to not feed this rat." No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't know. I mean, well, usually it would be something awful would happen, you know, or something. In my opinion, something would happen where it'd be like, "Okay, I gotta go. I'm out." You know what I mean? And then it would just be, you know what I mean?
So you would need.
I always felt, like it was a lot. Like I felt a lot like it was like my fault. You know what I mean? And it like, obviously you grow up now and you realize none of it was your fault. But at the time it was like, well, you know what I mean? It felt like I was choosing to leave and I was, you know.
Yeah. As you've grown up and been through therapy and stuff, you notice kind of how this really messed up, unorthodox relationship with your parents like manifests in your own experiences of dealing with people?
Absolutely. I think for so long, even just in my relationships, I definitely associated, and not knowingly, do you know what I mean? But you associate turbulence and chaos and toxicity with love. You learn.
Little Xan is now we make
like
sense.
all my toxic relationships, absolutely. Just, you know what I mean?
That's interesting.
You think love has to be earned. You think that, you know what I mean? There's no pull without push. There's no good without bad. And you have to severely re-hardwire your brain.
That's
and I still struggle with that. Like when something's just so healthy, my innate reaction is like, I'm bored. But it's like, you're not bored. You just don't think this is love. Or you just weren't conditioned to think this is love. And you have to really hardwire your brain in a different way. 100%.
So is that
that's common with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Just you grow up in a toxic, turbulent, abusive, volatile household, and you're learning at such a young age, like, this is what love is. You know what I mean?
So when you say like I'm kind of over that era, is that kind of what you mean? Where like you've kind of been able to associate what love means to you in a healthier way?
Yeah, and I'm able to, you know, maybe innately I'll always want to go for that, but at least now I'm able to, I think, just sit there and be like, okay, this isn't right. I can't do this. This isn't healthy. This isn't, you know what I mean? Instead of just being like, this is love. This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still love a little toxicity for fun. That'll always be.
Yeah, I feel that. The bad boy.
That was the hand I was dealt, I guess.
Am I a bad boy, Hila? Do you think I'm a bad boy? Didn't we do a poll and people actually thought I was a bad boy?
We did do a poll. I don't remember the results. I'd have to go check.
You're like, in a way, because there could be situations where like you're not even aware of the rules.
Yeah, maybe more like
you don't play with the rules so much. You're not
vocally,
even
socially.
Theoretically, would you consider this bad boy behavior? Saying that I think someone should hypothetically, as a joke, not even a serious thing. I did once say, and it got us into a lot of trouble, somebody should bleep the NRA headquarters.
Okay.
And that's not, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
But
bad boy, what you gonna do?
Is that bad boy behavior? Or is that just psycho behavior?
I think you're verbally a bad boy. I think you're verbally.
Physically, not.
Like, I don't see you showing up to someone's house. Word to Jeff. I don't see you sending goons to someone's house. I don't see you stealing.
So
I don't see you.
like violent crime makes you a physical bad boy.
All right, yeah, or I don't see you doing drugs, or I don't see you treating her like shit. But I see you saying some shit.
Okay,
you're a vocal bad boy.
All right.
I agree with that. I mean, when it comes to the core things, though, he never does like bad stuff.
You just have a mouth on you.
Yo, when your parents die, will you come back for a tell-all? That'd be fire.
Absolutely, I'm gonna do a book tour.
I want you to be.
I'm gonna do a book
I can't
tour.
wait for that scoop.
We need that.
I actually
like the Oprah
appreciate
interview.
This conversation even today. It's like I was referencing earlier. It's nice to talk about different things and things you don't get to talk about, and maybe help someone versus like, what's Jake Paul's cock look like?
Oh, I did smoke crack once.
Did you really?
Yes.
Was it cocaine in something?
It was I had a friend who's like a real degenerate.
Okay.
And he had cocaine and he like turned it into crack with a penny.
Yeah.
He used like a penny.
Okay.
Do you know about that?
Through the grapevine, not through personal experiences.
So I did that.
Yeah.
So what kind of crazy stuff did you get into?
What did you feel like?
I didn't hit it very hard.
Yeah.
So I think we were drunk and high at the time. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel it necessarily. So I didn't really know. I didn't hit the pipe really hard because I was nervous.
Yeah. I've been in some situations where people are, I guess, smoking cocaine. So you could maybe, this was
think that's-
Vegas long time ago,
that's
not
crack.
something I would do now. Did I just say I did crack on age 3?
What's wrong with that? I always talk about my crack experience. I've done lots of drugs, and I
Yeah,
like.
but you're so reformed.
Let's
You're like a
smoke
father
crack
now. Like,
together. Do you understand?
I'm gonna be leaving like catch steak on like a nice date this week, and there's gonna be like a paparazzi like, Tana, did you do crack?
Just say,
And it's
yeah,
gonna
what's
suck.
up?
I guess that's all you really
Just
can do.
shout out Fashion Nova. They don't give a fuck. Fashion Nova
I
actually
think I did
just
crack with the CEO.
actually interestingly,
That's a joke. Love you,
Fashion
Ren.
Nova. I just read sponsoring Ghislaine Maxwell. She does really nice fits.
Oh my! Well, they do have a whole blazer 2-piece set section. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no,
that's good for court.
she's good. She looks good for an older lady.
Yeah, there's so many really funny jokes I could make right now. That was like such a setup for like maybe 12 jokes, but I think that it's in my best interest to make
See, you're smarter than
absolutely
me.
of them.
Going back to you growing up in Vegas, when did you drop out of school?
When I was 15,
High school?
middle of sophomore year.
Was something happen or what? Like, how do you actually leave high school? I thought there was like that was illegal or something.
Well, it is, but I just feel like Vegas doesn't give a shit.
They don't give a fuck.
If you look at if you rank the school system, the school systems are ranked from like best to worst, all 50. Vegas is 50th, or it was for a long time. I don't know if it still is.
I remember seeing that.
49th, or Nevada is.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't give a shit. But I mean, I think it was leading up to it. Like I just, for years of my life, I've always had really bad insomnia. There was a lot of fighting in my household. I would never sleep at night. Like I was like scared to fall asleep. I had really bad insomnia. So I'd be sleeping through class all day, like every day and shit.
Wow.
Like, cause I wasn't getting any sleep. I remember so many times where teachers were like, would send me for like a wellness check at my school. Cause it's like, why is she like in REM sleep? Like it's one thing if they touch you and you get up. Like I wouldn't get up, like type of thing.
Wow.
I hated the rules. I hated authority. I didn't want to learn. I hated life. So I was like, why the fuck? What am I doing this for? A future? I'm going to fucking kill myself. What? Like, there's no purpose. And yeah, I mean, and then it would just, I remember one of the last times my parents took me to school. Oh my God, here I go again. Though, am I going to get fucking sued?
It's so fucked up. It's like, this happened to you.
I know, it's insane.
Just maybe if you say,
I had a dream
this is the way that I remembered it.
Yeah.
It could have happened differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was in the car and shit got so bad that I remember in my opinion, I remember in my opinion, I was so angry that I got out and I was walking to school and it was freezing outside. And we're far as shit from my school and it was like 30 fucking degrees out and I'm walking to school in like flip flops and like a t-shirt and I'm freezing. And then they're screaming from the car to not the car, whatever. People call the police, like police show up, whole thing. And I'm just like walking to school. And I remember being like, I don't want to go back. Like, it just like, this is too much. I don't want to go back. And so I just stopped going. I never like filed a paper. I never anything.
You just one day stopped going?
Yeah.
Nobody reached out to you? Nobody asked any questions?
No.
What?
I literally just one day stopped. I mean, and I had
That's
hundreds
crazy.
of absences as is. I think that it's sad,
They didn't see
really.
if you died? Nobody was like, is she alive?
No, I mean, I was
you had
funny about
friends.
it though. I was
Yeah.
funny about it. I'd be like picking my friends up from school.
Okay,
I
they
went
saw
to
you.
I went to all the like senior assemblies and shit. I would sneak into the school and just like do the fun shit with my friends and be like, oh, I'm a senior. Not at all. And I started just working as much as I possibly could so I could at least have money to put myself in a better situation because that's
Right.
how it
Right.
was for me from an early age. It was like you have to get yourself out of this or you're gonna be
Survival.
fucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also
Didn't they ever send like social services around to your house or anything like that?
No.
Never. Nobody ever checked on you.
At one point it's truancy when you don't show up and I think they sent a truancy officer like one fucking time and then they just like rang the doorbell, no one answered and they left. Like
That's
again, it's
incredible.
Vegas.
That's actually like
Is it kind of like a Vegas thing? Like
I don't know.
I think
but
pro-
I'm
yeah.
assuming that's not happening in like the Hamptons. I'm
No,
assuming
no,
that's
it's
not
not.
happening
It's
in like
yeah.
you
I
know.
think they're probably underfunded. There's a lot of kids who are probably
100%.
not the best upbringing. And
Absolutely.
They just
And
don't
that's-
have the resources.
And that's the thing too. Like I feel like high school and all that type of stuff in a lot of other towns are very community based in the regard that like all the parents are friends and check on each other and all live in similar neighborhoods. And do you know what I mean? Like Vegas just isn't fucking, it's not like that at all, I guess.
Oh, you probably don't know about this, but if you're trying to avoid getting sued, you just say in Minecraft. So you say, my parents picked me up in Minecraft.
No way. In that case, in Minecraft. No way.
It's a gag. It's like an online gag. You say in Minecraft.
Oh my God.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Or you could say in Roblox if that's your cup of tea.
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy too is like, I'm really not that terrified of being sued. Like, that's one of many, many, many lawsuits I've gone through. But
how many lawsuits? We might be kindred in that regard.
I think Ethan is thinking, did we just become best friends?
Right.
Because I'm on like my 5th right now.
Really?
For defamation.
I remember those days. No, I'm just kidding.
Still haven't lost.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've won the majority of my lawsuits. I did lose one this past year. But normally I'm like, fuck it, I'll say it, sue me, because it's when a business is suing you or like you know what I mean, or shit, it doesn't matter. It's not like your whole life's
just
trauma
money,
and like airing it out. So it's like, that's the only one where I really like
I get
tread lightly, I guess.
So you dropped out of school. You immediately just went, because can you even work underage? Like, was it hard to find a job at 16?
15. 14, you can do shit that's like, you know what I mean? Like you could go mow someone like lawns, or you could go work for a company that's not like tax.
Right, like
happy.
They pay you cash or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then 15 is, I think, when it's legal, or at least it was then. And I just immediately.
So you went and people hired you.
Oh
15.
my, absolutely. I was preparing for it, like at 14. Like I was like, on my 15th birthday, I think literally maybe a day after my 15th birthday, I was like.
Was that transition from being a student to like a full-time worker at 15? What was that? What did it feel? Was it relief? Was it good? Was
I loved
it hard?
it. Yeah, I loved it because I guess for me, and it's sad, but school felt like something I was doing for no reason.
Yeah.
Because it was like, even if I graduated with I'm not being sent to college. I'm not a straight A student who's getting sent anywhere. And maybe I could have been if I applied myself, but I didn't feel that way. Like I had no motivation. I was so depressed. And that was a very instant gratification. I'm getting paid. I'm making money. I'm changing my life. And you know what I mean? I liked my coworkers. I liked working. I liked applying myself to shit. I also always worked in retail, and I love clothes, and I love people. I'm a people person as well. So I enjoyed like making my tips and doing shit like that off of human interaction. I loved it. Yeah.
And so when you turned 18, you moved to California, right?
I like don't remember my life. That's another thing that's kind of dark with the trauma, is everything is like such a, like people always call me out for fact checking, because I'll be like, I did this when I was this age, and it's like not even at all.
Well, the age is less important. You moved out to California. Like, what was your plan when you arrived? Did you have a place to stay? Were you staying with friends?
So do you remember O2L?
No.
Like Ricky Dillon, and like, do you remember all those like JC Kalen and Kian and whatever, O2L?
Oh, let me look.
Trevi Moran, was my first like LA best friend, and like had been doing it far longer than me and making money, and I would always stay with her.
Our Second Life?
Yeah.
These guys?
Yeah. So Trevi has transitioned now.
Whoa.
But this is before.
This
her
is 8
transition.
years ago.
Yeah.
So you were homies with these guys?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And well, no, all of them kind of, but Trevi specifically.
Which one's Trevi?
Bottom left. Yeah.
This person.
And
wait,
I would always stay with Trevi, and Trevi like really took me in and kind of showed me the LA ropes, and then eventually there were other like FaZe Banks was really like my good friend, and I would like be there a lot and stuff. That was like FaZe Banks was like my second LA
blanks.
Blanks.
We call him FaZe Blanks, but it's affectionately.
Affectionately.
Yeah.
I love him. He's my longest Banks and Trevi are my longest LA friends.
That's so
they
nice.
kind of brought me into this world, and I would stay there, and all that type of stuff.
Was it hard to transition, or was it kind of like you were making money by the time you
No,
came
if anything,
here?
I took way longer too than I should. I stayed in Vegas a lot longer because I was like scared. I'm like, is this a lifelong thing? What if I move to LA and it doesn't work and whatever? So I was back and forth a lot. At one point, I was renting a house in Vegas and a townhome in LA with my best friend. And Yeah. So no, I made it pretty gradual, which I think was good for me. So I didn't let LA change me too hard off rip, you know?